You guys wanted the financials of how a broke girl with a credit score of like 463 ended up putting money down on property to move the homestead from the rental property to permanent property. By the way, I'm going to have crazy eyes because the camera's there and I'm used to looking. So, yeah. And I decided to put this on YouTube because I knew it was going to be long and I knew it was going to be detailed. I literally, because I'm so ADHD, I took notes in chronological order. Yes, so I can be as transparent as possible. By the way, this is my first real day off, and you know what I'm doing, and this is not going to sound like a day off to y'all. I've got to clean house, deep clean. I've also got to cut 120 something soaps and finish some. By the way, the mop handle, remember when I had the sweater on and I said I got in a fight with spray foam because there was a hole up there and I was scared that mice, because we have a homestead, you hear it, cock-a-doodle-doo. Mice like to come up here and try to get feed, and they'll get up in the rafters. Well, there was a little hole. I was scared they'd get in there. So I tried to spray foam it. Almost fell. And I had a mop broom in there, and I gotta fix that now. Alright, so here we go. How did we end up on... How did we get property? How did we do this? Well, first of all, we don't own it yet. We are in the process. We are paying for it. We signed on it. I put money down. So literally I took notes because a lot's changed. I did one of these a while back, not in the depth that I'm about to go in this one, but I did one on financials because I wanted to share, like, as a creator online, like the money behind that, the money behind the soap business, like how we went from working full-time corporate jobs to working from home, because I brought Joey home almost a full year ago. In December will be a full year. So this is how it was. Last year, I had a credit score over 630. I do qualify for VA loan. I am a vet. I don't bring that up a lot. I don't brag about that because I didn't get to serve my full terms. I was only in 2 years. I broke a lot of bones, had an honorable discharge. I could get back in with a waiver. Never would I. But I had that credit score, and I was calling them and tapping into what all I could access. But here's the problem. Credit score was, it was 630, but I had a lot of hospital bills. And I was trying to dispute those. And the way that I had done that was a lot of them had violated HIPAA laws by selling some of my information to different credit collectors. And so I was able to dispute those one by one through using the Credit Karma app. And no, they're not sponsoring me. Nobody does. But I used that app to start disputing all those. I also opened up a couple of secured credit lines because I had like no credit and have like horrible credit, but like had none. I just had the hospital bill collections. And so I opened up 2 of those, Discover and another. And the sucky part, which I'll get down to in a little bit, we hit on the hard times and those got maxed out. But they are your own money, but it still hurts you. I couldn't find land. We didn't have the money for a down payment. And financially we were okay, but struggling still pretty often. We had to change sceneries. I could tell that people were waking up, moving around, getting coffee, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I do not like filming in front of no one. It's just awkward. It's weird. I don't know. Now, I've kind of given you the financials of last year. I really want to dive into like what was going on last year too, because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't share. There's a lot of times that when I go through hard times, I'm not good at faking it, so I don't come online and I don't do anything. I don't say anything. I'll work at the garden, work off that steam, whatever it is, but I don't normally tell y'all about my problems until they're already solved. And the reason being is because there is quite a few people that follow me, and I want people to look to me for inspiration and not get down by even my own issues. And a lot of times God just solves them pretty quickly, and I'd much rather just come on here and give the glory to him and tell y'all about how he already fixed it. So check this. Back in April of 2023, I put a prayer in my Bible. First time I ever prayed for myself. Yeah, literally. I don't know why I'm 38. I'm weird. I didn't pray for myself. Prayed for others. Felt guilt if I did for me. Prayed for myself. Put a prayer in my Bible about finding land so I could do more. Right? Left it there. Moving on. The business went downhill at the beginning of 2024. We was struggling. I was taking care of 7 in my household, which cumulatively over a year with just basic household bills and essentials was like $30,000. So why did the business go downhill? Well, I made a mistake of counting on money that I was making from social media And I've always been honest and transparent on that. Now, TikTok, they never pay me. They never pay me worth crap. Now, I ain't gonna say they never pay me at all. Over a 2 to 3 year period, maybe about $2,000 accumulatively altogether, which is still nice. Something is better than nothing, right? But I don't ever expect it. I just show up because I wanted to show up, and that's where I started, was mainly TikTok. That's why I bring that up. Now, Facebook at the time was doing pretty good. That's about $1,000 or so a month, and you're like, dang, that paid your bills. My bills are not expensive. That's one other thing we do, is we've never taken on a lot of debt. Now, my rent is dirt cheap here, but we live in a beat up old farmhouse that's actively falling apart. It is. Imagine what 600 would get you in Hot Springs. That's what I got. Now, I'm not hating at all, because I love my landlords for the simple fact that they've allowed us to practice all this for the last, 5, 6 years, and so I'm grateful. I ain't got no complaints. So anyways, business goes downhill. I make the mistake of counting on the social media money to pay our bills, and then the business to sustain us. But with, trying to take care of 7 and just the basic necessities running me about $30K, that's not even all the groceries. Even though I was gardening, at the time I wasn't completely taking care of all our needs with gardening. There was a lot of things that I had to replace. Like, I try to attack the things that we had used the most, like potatoes. That's a big thing we were cooking all the time. So I figured out how to grow enough potatoes for a family of 7. Now I'm stuck with a harvest in there canned up, and we've downsized to like 4. So yeah, but I digress. The business flops, and I'm having to take money from the business to pay bills, because social media started to not do that great, because I was always stressed out. And I'm not going to comment on the things that I was stressed out about, because those are very personal. Those are between me and the members of the household at that time. And that's always going to stay between us, because that's family. That's where it should stay. So then, flash forward, before June, we are in that rough spot, and all of a sudden we pray and God comes through on a blessing. We get approved with a PayPal business loan, and the way that works is it's one-time fixed interest charge, not a rate over time. So it's a one-time charge, and we were able to borrow, I think it was around $5,500, to boost up our inventory in our business. And at the time, I was so bad off that my car had broke down. We had no vehicle. My sister had hers, my sons had theirs, but you don't depend on other people like that. And we were already having to depend on my sister's vehicle enough, and that was already bothering me. So we used a little bit of that money to go get the tuna can, which is the little Isuzu, the farm truck, because we knew we were going to need that. And we found that dirt cheap for $1,500. And so we were able to make that happen and get back on our feet with just that little PayPal loan. And the way that works, by the way, is they take 30% of your sales through PayPal only. And my website takes multiple payment forms, so it's not like it takes all of my money. I was able to pay that off after that inventory reset, right? I was able to pay that loan off, plus get us back on our feet into a better situation. And then June came, and I had the overwhelming feeling that we need to pack. We need to pack because we might be in a hurry to leave. I don't know why. And it was actually a little scary, a little daunting, and I kept praying on it, like, why? And I even looked at Joey, and I was like, we got to pack, and my daughter. And one big part of that, of me doing that, was also because my daughter looked at me one day and was just like, the boys, the 2 oldest that were about to move out, which I was getting to, she knew she was the only child at home, and she knew that we had stayed here doing this homestead for as long as we have, because the kids were used to this normalcy, and we didn't want to take them from that. We were trying to wait until we were empty nesters to really, make the launch, And we knew it would be financially easier on us too. But my daughter looked at me and said, let's do it. Let's sell everything and let's just go. And I was like, so what? We're already poor. But what she meant was anything that we couldn't take with us anyway, since we'd be downsizing, since you're downsizing, let's just go. So we packed it all up. There's a rooster like 5 feet away. All right, so everything's packed up at this point, okay? And remember, We have nowhere to go. And remember, last year, I'm looking back here, credit score is over 630, but we got these hospital bills we're disputing. We've got this credit line we've butchered now because we're broke. We couldn't find land, and financially, we're struggling. Flash forward, August, September of 2024 comes around, and my oldest two children are moving out, right? They're flying the coop. That wasn't fun. That sucked. By the way, I forget to mention the whole first half of 2024, the first 6 months, Joey not only had salmonella, he got that from eating at McDonald's. He also had an infection in his foot that had to have surgery on twice, and a kidney stone. 6 months of antibiotics and being down, and I was running everything by myself. That was another reason why we were financially struggling. I was doing all I could to just keep us afloat. But what's important, I kept some faith. I kept my faith. So August, September rolls around, the kids move out. Immediately after these kids move out, immediately, I started saving money as much as I could. And I started putting back $100 here and there that Joey didn't even know about. Nobody even knew I had this money that I was saving. And I got about $1,000 to $1,200 saved up. The business took off, started soaring at the beginning of fall, before all of this. So that helped me start to save and pay off any little thing that we had extra on us, which we really didn't have anything other than basic utilities. I did have one payment to Aaron's, which is a rent here, buy here kind of place that is so expensive for the couch. I got $2,000 for this POS couch that my dogs have already ruined. Worst financial mistake I ever made. So in September, I look at Joey and I don't know what we're doing in the bedroom, but everything's packed up. Like, there's boxes everywhere. And I could tell he's getting, like, mad and aggravated messing with these boxes trying to get to something. And I felt bad. And I felt crazy. And I'd felt crazy for months because all of you guys kept commenting and were like, hey, have you moved? I thought you were moving. And I just felt embarrassed. I answered the questions honestly. It was just like, when we find land. But really what I wanted to say was, when I get it together. But again, I don't like coming online until the problem's solved. And so I think he thinks I'm crazy about unpacking the boxes. And he said, no, don't unpack them. I don't want to do this every week. And I took that as a smart aleck reply, and it made me feel worse. And he, in every right, he had to be aggravated because he didn't understand it either. But I felt my heart like we were supposed to pack. Like, there wasn't no reason why I just packed. Like, it has to make sense. Everything else has. Sure as crap. It was mid-September. We're looking online, and I see a post for land. And it matches everything I wanted, which was, I didn't care about a dwelling. I only cared about electric and water. And I really wanted a well. And this property had electric, it had a well, it also had county hookup. I'm shivering a little bit, I'm cold, so my voice is probably getting shaky. So we go see that land, right? And what made us want to really even go see it, because I almost said waste my time and go see it, I was at this point, I was like, I still had faith, but I was very much discouraged that we would get it because it just seemed too good to be true. So it was either A scam, or B, somebody was going to get it before me, And Joey didn't even realize we had the money to put down on it, which they were asking for $1,000 down, $60,000. Hold your heart, because you're going to have I'm coming Elizabeth moment, okay? The land, $60,000, great deal, 8.5 acres, owner finance, $1,000 down, but they want to finance at 10%. You choose your terms on years, right? No early penalty for payoff, okay? I really screwed that word up. No penalty for early payoff. So you can buy yourself out of it. You can buy yourself out of it to keep it affordable. If you choose not to and finance that, I don't know. Sorry. 20 years, oh my gosh. Your payment's going to be what? I pay about $650. I pay more than that, but set at 20 years, it would be, I'm not even going to do the math for you. Do the math at 10%. It's not worth it. But having that no early payoff penalty is what's worth it. It was a way to get in on it. And I was very skeptical because of that, the cost, but I knew my position, because this year, all right, that's where I'm going to stop on the timeline and jump back over to the financials. This year, credit score 463. Remember, we tanked those little cards that I took out on a secured line, so that tanked my credit. My hospital bills were gone. Poof. Disputed those all left. My credit line, maxed out. So it dumped it. Let's see here. I started saving for down payment. I told you about that. I had that 1,000. I couldn't find land until we just came across that. And then I was financially better, but I think it was because I had gotten more wiser. I was not being dependent on one set thing, but putting my eggs in many baskets. For instance, the chickens, that's a profit. Doing social media in different forms is a profit. The products I sell, that's a profit. There's just I have a book, that's a profit. I do a garden planner every year, that's a profit. So putting my eggs in many different baskets was helping. So I don't think, not only were we just financially better because the business was doing better, we were getting financially wiser. We do not live above our means. And what do I mean by that? I've had these for 4 years. These are predominantly the shoes I wear every day, all day. I don't live above our means. Our vehicles, that one I think is a 95 Isuzu, the tuna can, and then I did just get a new one. I haven't even told you all about that. I saved up during this time too, and was able to go buy a outright. It's like a Ford Expedition, Eddie Bauer edition. It's an older model. It does have some miles on it, but it's in excellent condition. I think it only had one owner. So, and it's full-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and it has towing capacity to which we're going to need. The tuna camp can't move us up there. Y'all, we already are going to look like the Clampets, the Beverly Hills. Now, on the credit, I did find a collections from Uline. When my business hit rock bottom, I was using Uline to, obtain the materials I need for shipping and packing and the containers that I was using. That's why my packaging changed so much in the beginning. And it may still change some, until I perfect it, because what I pay for a product reflects what I have to charge. And I don't want the cheapest and offer y'all the cheapest, but I also do not want to have to gouge y'all because I'm getting gouged. So I try to meet in the middle. So anyways, that bill was $650. I defaulted on it. It got reported to my credit October 2nd. And the other day I called them and I straight up said this. I said, this is what I can offer you. I can pay this debt right now. If you write it off as paid in full and remove it from my credit immediately and send me a contract that says so, I'll give you $500 right now. 30 seconds later, this man had a contract drawn up, and in my email, boom, 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 $500. It's about to be off my credit before the end of this month. Not 30 days, before the end of this month. That is going to jump it up another 25 points. Before it done that, I opened up a new secured credit line through Visa. That has helped bring my credit up 60-something points, so it's about 550 right now on one and 544 on another. Once the Uline collection drops off, that's going to bring it up another 21 to 25 points. As soon as I start to use my secured credit line, that's going to bring it up another 20, 30 points. What's the goal with that? To try to buy my way out of this land through one of two ways. USDA farm loans or possibly VA. And if we do either one of those, I'm obviously going to have to do it once a dwelling is put up there and we're going with a tiny home. I'll get to that in a minute. Now I'm going to jump out of these financials and go back to the timeline. So I see that post online. We go see the land. We get the contract. We have a lawyer look at it. We look at it. We pray on it. And then I give the guy the $1,000. We sign on it. What's hilarious is in the same week that all this happens, we get a letter from our landlords on raising our rent, and I'm not mad about it. They have every right to raise their rent, but you can't tell me that didn't work out perfectly. And it felt like that whole packing ordeal was get ready because I don't want you to be here and celebrate the new year. Now we're going to get into the financials of how it's going like right now through the business, social media, and how we're sustaining living here, paying those bills, and trying to do everything over there. I just realized I skipped a few things. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Something else that I know that just made this land meant to be, the lady who posted the land, her husband is the one that had it for sale, but the lady who posted it, I send the listing to Joey. Joey looks at it and goes, oh my God, we have tons of mutual friends. I think I might know her or be related. He reaches out to his aunt. His aunt confirms, yes, you are. Well, actually, I'm related to him. Not me, but his aunt saying, I'm related to him and you're related to me, but I don't think they're actually related, but nonetheless, like families, no families. he reaches out to his mom, and come to find out his mom used to babysit the wife. And anyways, the gentleman ends up reaching out and calling us, and that's how we made the point of contact. We got the contract, we got the land survey. I did pay for like what would you call this? This is like a background check on the property, whatever, records for the property, and figured out that the gentleman that actually lives across the street is the one that used to have the house that was here. And I've obtained some pictures of that. I'm going to try to insert them real quick. Okay, so the road's back this way, so you have to imagine that we're looking this way to see the house, but that's where the house is. That's where the house was. Exactly where I said the septic was. There's the barn. Right here in the front, right, let me put my leg on it. Right in here is where I uncovered tons of flower beds the other day, and the well pump is down here. And looky here, you see this over here at the end of my fingers? Remember where I said there was garden post where I looked like it was grapevines? There it is. Yep, the cane patch right there. I just had to throw that in there. I wanted to tell y'all about that because that was pretty exciting. I went on Google Earth, and I told y'all I've been doing all kinds of topography things, and I'll get more into that on a different video about where we're putting the house. But back to it. So I paid off this. This was $3,800 pre-tax, about $4,100 after tax or so, give or take, $4,100 to $4,200. I think that's what it was. Total payoff. But the guy that built this 3W Buildings. It's Dirkson's Buildings. It's who it's through. 3W out of Oklahoma. Now, these people were awesome because I was supposed to finance this for like $177 a month, but which would have ended up costing more in the long run than what I officially paid for it. But this guy was so awesome. Him and his team, they actually stopped the paperwork for going through the finance company because it was going to be a whole month before I made the first payment. And so I'd only had it for like maybe 2 weeks or so, and I called them up and he stopped the paperwork, so I never paid not one finance charge, paid it off in full. How was I able to do that? Because at this point, I've been saving a little bit of money here and there to buy things, but like, how did I do that? Remember when I said I paid off my PayPal loan? In the very beginning of me opening this business just over a year ago, it's been about year and give or take 5 months or so that this business has been officially open, the soap business. I have never had credit, as I've told you, to really have any cards or like take out loans or anything. So I've used PayPal. They offered this to me. It's called PayPal Capital or whatever. And no, it's not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by anybody. But I've utilized this to build my inventory every time. And then once I build my inventory, I take my profits and I put that back into inventory too after paying off loans. So at this point, PayPal had offered me over 15 grand on a loan. And again, it's taken out the same way as I explained before. And if you can't meet that deadline, then you have an every 90-day payment, right? And it's very affordable. It's less than my rent. So I went ahead and done that, and that money was put into a savings that is drawing over 3% interest. Why did I do that? I did that because I needed to pay this off to get that bill off of us. So essentially, paying this off and taking that bill off of me is what this loan is going to cost me. See what I'm saying? So I just replaced it, paid that off so it never gains any interest. This PayPal loan has a one-time interest rate or fee. And so the rest of that has been put up for what? Well, we're going to have another tiny home design. The same people that built this, they sent me a link. We're going to design that. I haven't slowed down enough to do that, but we're going to do it soon. I've also taken soil samples. We're going to do that in another video, but I've saved those to do with y'all because I haven't had time. So that money is putting savings because we don't know the operational function of the septic. We don't know if it's ready to go or if it needs work. And the first step that I explained the other day on my social media was that we're going to have to uncover the septic. We're going up there tomorrow. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have any other way of privacy to do this, and I don't want to go in there right now. I spent all my day yesterday in there. But anyways, we're going up there to uncover the septic. Once we get it uncovered, we're going to have it pumped. Once it's pumped, we'll be able to run water into the field lines, and I'm going to talk about all that. I'm no expert on septic. This has all been forcibly learned by me not knowing anything and having to wing it and figure it out. That's why I'm sharing it with you. But we're going to run some water down on the field lines and see if everything's functioning pretty well. If so, no matter what, I'm going to do that just to see it, and then we're calling a professional out, the same ones that pumped it, to do any repairs. That is why money is in savings drawing interest, because that money is for that. It's also for a down payment and to start on another building. right? We're going to have them do the complete electrical in it. We're going to do everything else because of this. We can do it slowly over time. We will be moving over there during the springtime. Insulation is needed no matter spring or summer, so that's going to be our first thing. That's affordable. We could do that. We can do it by ourselves. Then we could start to put our drywall up and design the home how we want. And I really think I want to shiplap it with some reclaimed wood, to tell you the truth. I do. So how am I able to afford that right now? Well, rent here, $600. Electric's high. It's $400 or $500. I'm not playing. It's ridiculous. Water bill is anywhere from $150 to $200, and that's with or without water in the garden. It's bad. Hot springs water is ridiculous. No, I don't have leaks. Let's see. We don't have gas. Everything's electric. We have basic phone bills. The phone bill is expensive because I do pay for 4 or 5 lines, and that runs me about $250 a month through AT&T. We have Aaron's payment of over $120 a month. And I know we have some few other things that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Insurance and whatnot. Vehicles, business, all that stuff. That's what all that cost us. And the land right now, if we paid a bare minimum payment, would be the $650. But I told you I'm not doing that. They're financing it at 10%. That's ridiculous, you know. But that's what they want for it. That's their land. They have that control. So I'm paying above that. So while I'm building my credit and can afford to every month, just we're not living above our means. And let me tell you, that's really hard to do when you've lived in poverty. I wanted to talk to y'all about that. My daddy did the same thing. When you have poverty brain and you come out of poverty, you have a bad habit of wanting to spend and overconsume when you have money. That was a bad habit Joey and I had for years. For years, every time we had a little bit of money, we would spend it all on the kids and try to spoil them, or on the house, on things that we might have needed, but we didn't need bad enough. And we've learned to not do that. To go with the bare minimum, because that's less stress, that's less money, and less maintenance. And it frees up a lot of time in the brain and on your hands when you don't have a bunch of crap to take care of. But I'm paying above the payment on that at least by $100 right now. At least by $100. And when I can more. The plan is to get the septic done once I discover the cost on that. And I talk with the landowner, because everything that I do on the land, I'm going to put in writing in a contract along with the land contract to make sure that I don't get duped out of anything. Because you could. You default on the land payment, they can take everything back and your money and everything you put on there. So we've got some things going to be put in writing, but once we know the cost of the septic, that helps us gauge everything else. Water, I'm not too concerned about. The well pump we can take care of later if it runs us into some funds. We can hook up to county water for $130. So that's all said and done. Electric's already set up there. So that helps. So we get the septic taken care of. We can get the tiny home designed and built and see what we can afford in that. And I'm hoping, if everything goes as planned, God's will, in February, we should start to move things over there. And perennial plants, and I'll do a whole separate video on gardening on how that's going to go this year, because I'm going to take you for every step of that. We're going to start to move perennials about February, March. I did lose 30 days of my growing season. The frost happens a little later there in the spring and a little earlier in the fall, but it's okay. Now, the financials on the business, fall boosted my sales that I literally done the biggest month I had ever done. In November 1st, I'm dropping the biggest inventory launch I've ever done for 2 reasons. One, my customers have been so kind. They have stayed in pre-order status sometimes for a month, especially on charity soaps, and I don't profit from those, but they have sit there and waited a month for those. But along with those charity soaps, they also did support me and buy some of my products, that I do profit from. So, they've been so patient. I've worked so hard over the past 2 weeks. That's why nobody's really seen me online, and we haven't got to do a lot of work on the land. I've been beefing up inventory in this little thing. I'm hoping that inventory launch helps boost sales even more, and that's money that we could put towards paying off the land early and boosting this credit even more to buy ourselves out of it, and just to keep jump starting things to get to where we need to be. Because once we get set up there, y'all know we want to open to the public, but I can't until I own it. I have to own it, or I have to buy it out through another loan, but I can't until I own it, and that's my motivation right now. So yeah, everybody freaking out, messaging me like, oh my god, people can see where you live. I know, we're gonna be open to the public one day. They're all gonna be welcome. If somebody shows up before them with ill intentions, I can handle myself. I mean, I did qualify 40 out of 40 in the Army after all. Most people just want to say hi. That's all.